As questões.
Huge opportunities to help the patients, and education is very important.
It's not just about great vision. Providing great vision is one thing, but we want to provide a great experience for the patient.
Possibility for smoothing the cornea. I think this is one of the major advantages.
We try to optimize the time of the patient and try to monitor their feedback. And I think patient satisfaction is the most critical for me.
That's fantastic. Angie, I can tell you your patients will be extremely happy. It was a perfect procedure, so well done.
Epithelium is the mirror of stromal smoothness. We have been amazed by the chance to measure the epithelium regularity.
When we see some the irregular stroma after the epithelial heals, we definitely have more regular cornea.
I think it's very important to have your patient with you here because, you know, that's a one-time surgery in life.
We have great minds here designing a treatment based on the data that we're assessing.
There is a motivation for patients, and when there is more patients, it will be good reference for others.
With the actual length measurement, it designs a three-dimensional model of each eye it evaluates.
Technology developed more, and we can obtain more precision, better results.
This is changing the game a bit, and refractive surgery is now well admitted.
And I think we all know that we're not just aiming at 20/20 anymore. We're aiming for the best possible vision. And this is the promise that we're holding, we're working on today with our patients.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to a new Refractive Summit. Hello, Dr. Kanelopoulos.
Hello.
Welcome. Thank you so much for being here. It's an honor to be during this second Virtual Refractive Summit Asian Pacific edition, episode number 3. We are so excited about the content today, and we're so happy. We have a lot of colleagues from all over the world. We have been discussing the scenarios in refractive surgery, and we're going to have a great discussion in the next minute. So before we start, we want to do a little introduction. And we have a great panel today. So I want to say hello to Robbie Palmer from Alcon and May Soon, also from Alcon. They are in Singapore right now. Hello, guys. Thank you for being here.
Hey, Andres, how are you today?
I'm good, Robbie. Thank you so much. May, how are you?
Hi, Andres.
Well, guys, wherever you want, you can start with the introduction of our great panel. We have awesome speakers today, so just...
Okay, sure, Andres. So I'd like to welcome all of you to our third virtual Refractive Summit. I'm May Soon, Regional Business Manager for APAC in Alcon. I'd like to thank Ophthalmo University for the work that they have developed during this program. At Alcon, we are committed to support education across the globe, and specifically in Asia Pacific through our educational portal, alconexperienceacademy.com, and events like this. If you have missed the first 2 events, they are now available on demand on AEA.com or Ophthalmo University YouTube channel. Today, we have the privilege of our speakers, Dr. John Kanelopoulos from Greece, Dr. Enchal Gupta from Australia, Dr. Nitin Balakrishna from India, and Dr. Rosman from Singapore. So, Robbie, what will we be expecting today?
Thanks, May. You know, our speakers are going to cover, a lot of topics specifically around providing the ideal options for each patient. We want to give the talking points around, what do you do when the patient walks in and say, do you offer SMILE? Whether you do or you don't, how do you manage that conversation? Explain Contoura so it's easy to understand, and really we'll spend some time kind of reviewing planning tips and pearls for planning those Contoura cases. So I want to thank everyone for joining today. Andres, I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you, Robbie. Thank you, May. As you can see, guys, we're going to have a great meeting today. I want to tell you a little bit more about Ophthalmo University, our ecosystem. You can find us all the platforms, social media, LinkedIn, YouTube, Spotify, where we have a lot of podcasts for you, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, of course. Ophthalmo University has 3 bases in Argentina, in Mexico City, where is our headquarters, and now we're just opening a new base in Barcelona, the beautiful Barcelona, with Lisandro Carnielli. Hi, Lisandro, how are you?
Hi, Andres. Really honored to be here today with all these great colleagues. Thanks.
Thank you so much. In Mexico City, it's also Jason Pennycock. Not in Mexico City, in Mexico. It's very early in the morning. Hi, Jason.
Hey guys, how are you doing? Nice to be here.
Thank you
Looking
so
forward
much.
for the rest of this program.
Yeah. Well, guys, as every website, we have a vote, a little survey, a brief survey. So if you go to menti.com, you will find just 2 questions that we want to know. We want to know your opinion about the topic of today. So go to menti.com and put the code 10583914. So it's very short survey, so you can do it and help us a lot. Industry and academy working together. We are working with the Alcon Experience Academy since a long time ago. We're so happy, and this is the goal of our summit, to try to bring the best possible education in refractive surgery. What is the Virtual Refractive Summit? As you know, this is an online event that we have designed with the aim of sharing knowledge, having immersive experience, and of course, having relevant discussion about and around refractive surgery. So we had the first Virtual Refractive Summit in June for Europe, and now we're having this for the Asian Pacific region. But why live as you climb? Well, because we understand that we must live and support our peers, and we all want to rise and improve our practices and our knowledge together. So live as you climb means collaboration, contribution, and expansion of our full potential. I want to invite all of you guys, the young colleagues, to be part of the APEC ambassador. We have a link to go directly to the WhatsApp group. So if you take a picture of this QR code, you will be part of our group. We have a lot of friends from the APEC ambassador, Dr. Ishtiaki Anwar from Bangladesh. Ishtiaki, how are you? You are on mute, Ishtiaki.
Thank you, Andres, for the invitation, and sure that we'll have a blast today.
Thank you so much. It's great to have colleagues from all over the world. It's also Brian from Philippines, from Manila. Hi, Brian.
Okay.
Muted.
Hi, everyone. Yeah. Hi, everyone. Hi.
Thank you so much. Thomas Campbell from Australia, also from our group of APEC ambassadors. Hello, my friend.
Great to be here.
Thank you. Thank you. As you can see, we are a lot of colleagues. Chay Tanlapko. Hope I said good your
yeah, you
last
did
name.
it correctly. Good evening, everyone. Happy to be here.
Thank you so much. As you can see, a lot of colleagues for discussion and for sharing knowledge. So Asian Pacific young ophthalmologists, if you want to win or be part of the Ophthalmo University campus in Mexico City, you have to participate in all 4 webinars, and you can be one of the winners of our scholarships to be here in Mexico City in our Ophthalmo University campus, where you can have an incredible training in refractive surgery. Also, we have our community on Instagram. So if you check also a picture here in the QR code, you will go directly to our account. Thank you so much to the MediaMice community. So thank you for your support. Before we start, remember, guys, you are in a listen-only mode. You can hear us, but we can't hear us. we are recording this, so you will be able to view this webinar on demand in the iconexperienceacademy.com and of course in the Ophthalmic University YouTube channel. Please ask all the questions that you have. Let's take advantage of these incredible speakers and surgeons. It's not easy to have all of them together, so let's take advantage. Use the chat to interact with all of them. One more time, please, the survey, menti.com. Use the code 10583914. Before we start, I want to say hello to our incredible speakers of today. Dr. Anshal Gupta, good morning here, good evening in your case. How are you?
Good, thanks, Andres. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. Your first time in Ophthalmic University, we're very happy and excited to have you. Dr. Rosman Mohammed in Singapore. Dr. Rosman, welcome.
Hi, thank you. Hi, Andres. Thank you for inviting me. Very nice to have all the friends here. Hope we have a good meeting.
Thank you so much. And from India, Dr. Nitin Balakrishnan. Hello, Dr. Nitin. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks, Andre. Thanks for having me for this lovely meeting.
Thank you so much. And it's just a friend of the house, a friend of Ophthalmic University, Dr. John Kanelopoulos in Greece. Thank you so much for being here again, Dr. What an honor to have you.
Thank you, Andres. It's really a pleasure to be here and to have a fruitful conversation with these excellent colleagues. You're quite the person to connect the universe. And I think I'm speaking of all of us. This is a period where we have been deprived of being together in meetings. So, you know, this is a fun time for us. So thank you for putting us together.
Thank you so much for being here. It's our honor. Let's have fun. This is a friend meeting, so let's enjoy it. Dr. John Kanelopoulos, whenever you want,
okay,
we are ready for your masterclass.
Okay, well, I wouldn't call it that. It's let me see if I'm sharing my screen. Are you? Is my presentation on?
Not yet.
All right. Let me go back to share. Okay, there we go. Now it should be on.
Yes, perfect.
All right. So I'll be speaking on the lessons that I have been taught by many of the colleagues that we've been working with together through the years on customization of cornea ablations. And this is a lot of material. I'm going to try and go through it in a very succinct way, and of course create some nucleus for discussion and further presentations. Whenever we speak of refractive surgery,
Dr. John,
always.
I'm sorry. Can you put the presentation mode?
Okay.
If you go.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's just covered by the Zoom. There we go.
Yes. Perfect. What? No.
No. Okay. Here we go.
Oh, that one. That one.
Okay.
Perfect. Okay.
There we go. Is that better?
There's a button that says swap displays on your upper left, because we can see your presentation mode, but not your actual presentation. So upper left should have the swap displays. That one.
Fantastic. Is it better?
There you go.
Yeah. Excellent.
Okay.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Thanks so much. All right. So we'll be talking about customization of laser ablations, and I was saying that this talk and this discussion for the average refractive surgeon does require in-depth knowledge of cornea imaging principles. And I would point our viewers to a YouTube narrated presentation that goes step by step through all the important points of current refractive cornea imaging principles, which we're going to be using in our talk interchangeably. And I was asked to speak topography guided ablations and contour laser applications, which is the trademark for Alcon, which has been the spearheading manufacturer of topography guided treatments globally. The concept was initially born in Europe many years ago as a ways to use the laser for therapeutic applications. And we're seeing some of them. This is a presentation from 2004 at the American Academy. So yes, I'm old enough to have been presented back then. It came to fruition in several papers where we utilized what was then the initial steps of topography guided treatments to use it in therapeutic ways. On the left, we're seeing an enlargement of an optical zone. Patients from 2 decades ago that had broad beam lasers that had small optical zones in the 90s. It's a well-centered ablation, as we can see, but gives a lot of halos and problems at night. So we're able to enlarge that optical zone. We're able to treat on the bottom middle, we're seeing a cornea irregularity that came through a cornea infection. And usually scarring creates the significant inferior flattening. It's as if we're looking at keratoconich eye upside down. So the cornea here is steeper on the top, flatter on the bottom, because that's where the scar took place. And we see the picture next to it. And this is the, I'm putting my arrow on it, the middle bottom picture, how the topography guided technology was able to magically shift this. And I want to remind our viewers that back then, this is in 2003, if the patient was intolerant to contact lenses, this pathology meant cornea transplant. So we can all appreciate how back then this was a really groundbreaking innovation on the therapeutic front. And of course, we took this, and the rest of the pictures are treating irregular eyes such as a keratoconus and trying therapeutically to improve the visual quality. And that's where the Athens protocol took birth. And we were able to combine cross-linking and a topography guided treatment and have a keratoconich eye. Now it's as if we're looking at the previous example upside down, where we have inferior steepening and combine it with cross-linking and have a remarkably normalized cornea in the middle. And we can all appreciate how the synergy between the topography guided treatment and the CXL gives flattening of about 10 diopters. Either one alone gives about 1 to 2 diopters. But it was not until the FDA study that Alcon spearheaded back in 2013, where now the topography guided platform with the wavelight Alcon laser was used to treat naive, myopic, virgin, if I may use the term, eyes, that we learned that this technology gave the best refractive data than any other technology had gone through the FDA, and still has. There is no technology that has gone through the FDA with this type of data, with a large percentage of patients gaining lines of vision. So then we went back and we started thinking, why is it that the topography guided treatment improves visual outcomes so much in comparison to what we have been previously used to with all platforms? And all platforms have reached the point to give good refractive data. Today's lasers are all very good at giving what we call a 20 happy patient, a refractive surgery patient that wants not to wear glasses. Here we're talking on how not just to get rid of glasses and contact lenses, but improve the eye's visual ability. So by breaking down the data, and this is very technical, we're seeing here on the Contura platform, the refraction of this patient, which only has half a diopter of astigmatism, where the measured refraction by the device points out to 1 diopter of astigmatism on a different axis. So the axis of the refraction is a red diametric line on our left image, where we can clearly see that the cornea topography shows that it's a, with the rule, almost 90-degree topographic astigmatism in this patient. And this is puzzling. Why is it that the patient consistently gives us a different refraction? And we have learned to treat clinical refractions, and that's still the gold standard for most surgeons throughout the world. So here we're compelled to look at these data and see that the topography guided treatment will normalize this cornea. And the key thing here is an angle kappa. This is a regular astigmatism, but with the angle kappa, and you can see I've circled it here on the left image, it's quite significant on the x-axis and on the y-axis. Any deviation of on the angle kappa of more than 100 microns is significant. Creates coma for the patient, which we can see on the picture on the right. And this is what the topography-guided software is trying to normalize if we set the treatment to 0 sphere and 0 astigmatism. So this is a coma treating ablation that is added in the Contura vision ablation of this eye. And this will normalize the cornea optics to the visual axis of the patient, meaning the cornea vertex. And this is the key element of why, if you want, the undercover magic in Contura giving us the supervision results. More detail on how this works. And we had further suggested that besides using Contura, we can tweak a little bit the astigmatism measured by the Contura device and move towards halfway or full way to the Contura defined amount of cylinder and axis. And we call that TMR. So going into plain English, this is a patient that is treated one eye wavefront optimized and one eye Contura. And both eyes are 20/20. So why are we having this discussion? Both eyes, the patient is happy. But if we look at the postoperative cornea topography, we can all appreciate that the left eye, which is on our right, top are the sine fluke images, the pentacam images, and bottom, the reflection placido images. The left eye has a much better topographic normalization because topography guided was used with TMR, where the right eye still has topographic astigmatism. And sometime in the future, the patient may request that astigmatism, and we may think that, well, the treatment has regressed. So this is the reason why our Contura treatments are superior. We're fortunate to have been assigned an investigator-initiated trial by Alcon to study a 50% TMR versus 100% TMR. And I know the Versitis software, which is also a great innovation in using Contura, is doing this automatically. But here we studied going 50% on the difference between the refractive amount of cylinder and the Contura defined amount of cylinder and the difference in axis, or full Contura suggested axis and amount of cylinder. And what we found in this interesting study, and this is reviewed under publication, is that even if we go 50% towards the Contura suggested amount on axis of cylinder, we have a marked improvement in lines of vision gained. So even if one is timid to go with the topography measured amount and axis of cylinder and wants to go 50%, half the way of that difference, it's still worth a while because the data are quite impressive. And we heard the question before, okay, the new kid on the block is also SMILE. And SMILE came out strong, advertised as the procedure that is different from LASIK, may offer more biomechanical stability, may offer better visual outcomes. And we had the opportunity to study side by side. And still to my knowledge, this is the keynote study, one eye randomized to have Contura LASIK and the other eye to have SMILE. This contralateral eye made the study extremely powerful. And we showed that the SMILE eyes did well, did similar to a wavefront optimized platform, but the Contura eyes did superior. Not that they only did they reach 20/20, but they went a very large percentage, as we can see here, to 2012 and 2015. So the superiority of the Contura eyes were probably based in the magic secret that we talked about before, that addresses cornea astigmatism and cornea coma and lines up the cornea optics to the vertex of the eye. And plus the fact that the laser with a platform such as the Alcon platform has second rotation adjustment, which for astigmatism is very crucial. SMILE up to the point is not able to cycle rotate and adjust for axis of astigmatism and cycle rotation, and thus it's expected to have inferior results when we're correcting cylinder. Now, the other promise of SMILE was that it will not give dry eyes anymore because we're working under the surface. And we studied this in this very valuable study for us. And we showed that the two procedures are more similar. These are cornea epithelial maps all the way 2 years out. And we've summed the epithelial maps in what you're seeing here at 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, a year, and 2 years. And you can see that although the LASIK eye is a little drier the first 3 months, at the end of the day, the two procedures are more similar than different. So there is dry eye with SMILE, so that is not a clear advantage. We also showed that as far as the accuracy of tissue removed between the LASIK eyes and the SMILE eyes, that LASIK, of course, is still more accurate than SMILE, so less refractive surprises in high myopes, which for SMILE means -5 to -8, maybe -10 if you're outside the US. And last, this is another study from that same study, a spin-off project, and I'm closing with this. We looked at the topography change with a pentacam before and after the procedure. And you're seeing here an example on the right. So we were able to take this topography image from the pentacam. So this is a tomography image, the difference map at a week. And we chose the sagittal, the tangential map at a week because they had the sharpest borders of the ablation effect. So we were able, since the pentacam by theory is centered on the vertex of the eye, we assumed that this image is centered on the visual axis of the eye. So we were able to compare the LASIK with Contura eyes to the SMILE eyes. And these are the compelling data. The LASIK deviation from the center of this image, which theoretically is the cornea vertex, was 130 microns, where the SMILE eyes were 313 microns. And it really underlines the power that our excimer lasers have today, and specifically the X500. So not only with the Contura, we're able to treat cornea coma, we're able to adjust cyclorotation, but we're able to aim more precisely at the time of the procedure. And this is really an eye-opener for us. And of course, all this work is confirmed. I know it's not our subject today, but I'm going to brush a little bit with the technology and development, the ray tracing, which shows us that when we leave the artificial intelligence to study all the higher aberrations and the objective data and lining up the optical parts of the eye, we're getting better visual acuities. And there is an ongoing US study, international study with ray tracing. I will not go into that into depth, but I wanted to mention that the ray tracing, the Innovize data really underline what I spoke about before, our outstanding Contura data. So in summary, we have found, among with other investigators through the years, and hundreds of colleagues that are using this technology as their everyday refractive tool, that the Contura eyes not only give us the promise of a 20 happy patient, but really explore the venue of improving the optics of the eye of a patient, and they're able to unlock gain of vision in patients. And nothing is more fruitful than this. You can imagine a patient after a LASIK procedure seeing better, much better than they saw with contact lenses before. We're talking about a great practice booster here. But you know, at the end of the day, we're physicians, and this is outstanding to be able to give the gift of improved eyesight to patients. Of course, this is something that requires good understanding of cornea imaging and all the logistics involved in the Contura treatment. And I think that these technologies are able to help us not just explore patients without glasses and contact lenses, but also patients that can function for the rest of their lives with improved visual outcomes. And I think that's a very valuable lesson for all of us. That's all I had for you today. I think we brushed a little bit through some key elements, and I really want to thank you for hosting me today. It's really a pleasure and an honor.
Thank you so much, John. Outstanding presentation as usual. The first concept that came to my mind is this concept about go beyond 2020, right? And I think that is one of the most important things, and it's incredible when you show evidence about it, right? Guys, Anshal, Nitin, Dr. Rosman, your thoughts, your opinion about this incredible presentation. What is your opinion about go beyond 2020?
Since the time we've been using Contura, we find that over a period of time, obviously there was a learning curve, but having tackled the learning curve and having understood the concept of Contura over the period of time, we feel that more and more of our patients are achieving a vision much, much better than 2020. What is more important to understand is that 2020 is achievable, even with the wavefront optimized treatment. But the point is, these patients, even if physically, even if you don't record a better vision than 2020, they are 2020 happy. And that is probably the most important thing, because what we are looking out at the end of the day is that the patient, a happy patient, because a happy patient is what is always not quantifiable in the form of the vision, but you may have a 2020 patient who's totally dissatisfied with the surgery. But that is something which we are rarely seeing now, with having understood the concept of Contura and having been doing Contura now for the past 4 years.
Absolutely, absolutely, Dr. Nithi. Thank you so much. Anshal, what is your opinion? We were talking before start the meeting about the Contura vision, the planning. What is your thought about it?
Yeah, I think, it's amazing technology. The fact that we can do it for normal eyes and make them better, essentially. I do think that you need to have a good understanding about what it's doing for our patients. Like, we can try to simplify it and, do 50% and so on. But like, it is important to kind of see what the topography suggested profile is going to do to that cornea. And there is a learning curve, and there are patients who are not suitable as well. So you do have to screen quite carefully. But I think in general, there's always patients with a little bit of, irregular astigmatism, even if they are otherwise normal eyes and normal corneas and really good corrected vision. And I think, it's not just the fact that we're correcting the aberrations, but the fact that the treatment is so well aligned to exactly where it needs to go on the eye. That's what really sets it apart from, any other treatment, particularly SMILE.
Thank you, Anshal. Dr. Rosman?
Yeah, I echo what Anshal said regarding the technology. I mean, it's a very good technology, and it can allow people to patients to see a lot better than what they are used to. But I agree that there is a bit of a learning curve. We tried Contura. The most importantly is really the scans have to be well done. And in my patients, I do notice some of them, because of the eyes, quite small sometimes, it takes a bit of effort to really get good scans. And without good scannings, the performing the Contura will be much more difficult. So while it's a very good technology, there is some limitation which the new users will need to learn to overcome. And definitely you need to have very good technicians. My center is a large center, so we have many technicians. So the problem is training a good technician is not easy, because some are good and some are not so good. So really you need to be able to identify somebody who is able to take good photos, be able to position the patient properly such that you get good topographic images, because really the key thing to success is really to have an initial good topography. And I also agree that some patients, after doing all the tests, you realize that they're just not suitable. In some cases, either the axis is way off, or the difference is too much between the topo and the manifest, and therefore it's not a good candidate for Contura. So there's a bit more of a time taken to explain to these patients. When you sit down with patients, you may have to explain to them certain issues regarding wavefront optimized versus Contura, and why you think that he may not be a good candidate for Contura. So I think it's a lot more chair time. But I guess from the results, from what you can see, like John's result, it makes it worthwhile if you get the good candidates and the outcomes are better than what you expect.
Dr. Roseman, I would just like to say, this has been coming up repeatedly, that you have to have a good scan, in a good topography. So, a lot of people ask that, how do you know, seeing a topography report? So I would ask this to you, Dr. Anchal and John, that, how do we know that we have a good topography? Who is a good technician to take a good topography? Put some light on that.
Dr. John, that is one of the keys, right?
It's a great question. It's a great question, and it was mentioned by Dr. Gupta previously that you have to, if there is a significant difference between your manifest cylinder and your Contura suggested cylinder, you have to confirm with a total cornea device such as the Pentacam that there's no posterior curvature difference that may cause this. So you have to confirm that the total cornea power is indeed different than the refractive power. The other great pro is you have to have consistent topographies. We have uploaded on our YouTube channel several tricks on how to use your Vario device in making sure that the patient's head is balanced, the two eyes are balanced. And this is something you have to teach your optometrists and technicians, that the head has to be in such position that swinging left eye to right eye, you don't have to adjust up and down. Also, I personally use cornea epithelial maps as the crossroads of whether I'm going to base a treatment on cornea imaging. Because if the epithelial maps are not naive, and the cornea epithelial maps are very strict in what's naive and what's not naive. They're not very specific on what the cause of the epithelial irregularity is, but if the epithelium, and we use the OptiView, I think it's the most popular device, but there's other devices coming out that in this device, the epithelial map has to be as green as possible and as homogeneous as possible. So if there's irregularity in the epithelial maps, then of course one has to consider that the topographic data are not very accurate, and addressing the reason for the epithelial deviation probably precedes a laser treatment, or one can decide into a more basic treatment. So I would say, in plain terms, if you have the ability of epithelial imaging, that's a great way to use it as a validation method for the stability of the object that you're trying to image. If not, you can go into the studying the Placido rings. I'm old enough to have seen the device by Dr. Placido, and how the computerized devices use those reflection rings. Analyzing those rings and seeing how clear and reflected they are gives you an idea of how normal the cornea surface is. So that's another way to assess whether your topographies are reliable.
Well, guys, look, let me show you something. I don't know if you can see my background. When we ask our audience about their opinion about the most important advantage of customized surgery, the answers are precision, better result, patient satisfaction, clearer vision, good outcomes, 20/15 vision, happy patients. I really think that now we have very demanding patients, right? And sometimes we discuss if Contura or personalized surgery take more time in the planning, but I think it's worth it. What is your opinion, Dr. Nithin Balakrishnan, about these new patients, right? Because they are very demanding.
Yes, patients in today's generation are definitely more demanding than what they were a decade ago. But the point of the matter is that though Contura would require a long time, you need to have good scans, because in the end, garbage in, garbage out. So you would not get good results with poor scans. Again, like Dr. John Kanalapalli said, that it's important to view the topographic maps. And it doesn't matter who does the topography, but it's important that before doing a planning of the Contura treatment, one sees the overview map, one sees the camera image, whether all these things have been done properly or no, because just seeing the raw data, one would know whether the topography has been done properly or no. Probably a repeat topography is required in quite a few times. And at the same time, whenever we find there's a lot of difference between the manifest and the topographic readings, what we do is we, in fact, very often take the patient back for a repeat refraction, especially if there's a cylinder mismatch. And very often we find that when we repeat the refraction of these stations, the spread between the topographic data and the manifest refraction decreases. So yes, it takes time, but the patient satisfaction and the excellent results which the treatment gives is definitely worth the time spent.
Well, you know, guys, that one of the most important things is to learn, right, in the correct way. And we have been working with the team of Tamil University in this 360 experience. What about if we can learn about Contura in a 360 experience, in an immersive scenario? So, Ivo, how are you?
Hi, everybody. Hope you're doing great. And I agree with you, Andres. And please understand my situation. I'm a cataract surgeon trying to learn about refractive surgery. So you know what I did? I said, okay, I'm going to use all the tools I have to learn about Contura specifically. So I'm there in a 360 environment, as you're going to see, and all of you are going to have access to this. Look at this. This is my browser, okay? And this is Ophthalmo University /OU 360, like this. Very, very simple. And here you're going to see that I can move my screen completely. And look at that. You're going to also have a picture-in-picture images. Right now, we're talking about the patient. We did an OPD study, and you can see all the characteristics of this patient. Now we are taking some notes about Contura. I don't want to go again from what all the experts said, but I think there's something very important here. You guys talked about time, more time to give the patient. We did it in about 5 to 6 minutes. So I think if you're really trained, the time you lose with the patient, it's small. I don't know what the other panelists think, but I mean, if I want to give one of my patients excellence, I will take 5, 10, 15, maybe 20 minutes because I want happy patients, right? I want precision, I want safety, but also I love that concept to go beyond 2020. One of the other important things I realized is I had this thing in my mindset that Contura was for, complicated eyes, something that is not usual. And I changed it completely. And I think this is my takeaway message is Contura is mostly for normal eyes, right? Please, Andres, don't let me lie on this, but I think that's one of the most important messages. As you can see here, we are discussing the pre-op patient. We have all the studies here. I mean, this is a video for you guys, and then I'm gonna go, further in to see about the study. And here we're doing the Contura personalization. I put the voice off, but look at that. We're doing the personalization with an alcohol technician. We did everything, and in the end, you're gonna see me do even the excimer laser. One of the other important things I wanted to show is, when the Alcon people were taking the time to do the personalization, I said, okay, but I want an algorithm. I mean, she was doing some calculations, and then we find out this amazing PDF that we're going to share with everybody. Look at here, okay, and basically has, let's put it a little bit smaller if we can, here, right here, okay. So you're going to have in the first page, you're going to have all the pre-calculation considerations, and page number 2, look at that. That's the algorithm. So I think it's going to be pretty straightforward to everybody. You can see it in the 360 video too. We had an amazing, experience. We did the contour calculation perfectly. And also, I hope you can see because I have the blurry, effect. Maybe I'm gonna take it out. And in the end, to show you guys also that, let's see the filter, none. And look at my phone, guys. So in my phone, I hope you can see that I'm having the 360 experience as well. Okay, so we took a lot of time to do this kind of videos, but I really think with this immersive experience, you can understand perfectly what Contura is.
Thank you, Ivo. It's amazing. Thomas, what do you think if in our residency we have this experience, right? That would be what's going to be awesome, right?
Yeah, I think that's absolutely fantastic, getting people exposed to these kinds of technologies, which really, I think, will be the mainstream as people mature into consultants. And so the earlier people are exposed, the better. I have two questions. One is, how do you account for the other sources of aberration in the visual system other than the anterior corneal surface? And two, if there's variability in the topographic scans from ocular surface dysfunction, do you exclude that patient as not a good candidate, or do you treat the ocular surface dysfunction and start the whole process again?
John, Anshal, Rosman, what do you guys think?
I'm happy to answer part of it, Thomas. So obviously with Contura, you are typically just treating anterior corneal abnormalities. And with ray tracing, that's going to change. So maybe Dr. Kanalopoulos can comment on that. But, in terms of scanning, yeah, I mean, it's really important to have really good quality topolyzers. You have to look at the actual quality of the placido rings. I think that was mentioned earlier. And of course, if you've got sort of squiggly lines instead of, quite nice sort of well-defined lines on that placido rings, then that's not a good quality scan. There's some other parameters that you can look at, and you get sort of 2 green ticks against the scan to know if it's a good scan. And you typically have to do 6 to 8 scans. And when you go to select them, there has to be minimum amount of standard deviation between the scans for you to know that they are consistent and can be used. So, these are all the things that play into whether that patient is suitable, and how you're going to use that information to plan your treatment. And definitely, with any patient who's got dry eye or a bad ocular surface, you shouldn't be doing Lasik on them full stop, and certainly not Contura until you've fixed that surface.
A good reminder is that when we have some doubt or we are not sure about Contura, Wavefront Optimize, it's a very good option, guys. I mean, there is no doubt about the result of Wavefront Optimize when we don't have all the data in a correct way. Rosman, any comment about these questions, Dr. Nithin, before we go to the next section?
So in addition to what Anshul said, we also look at the placido image. And when we see the rings, we see the first break in the ring which occurs. So if the first break of the ring or the continuity of the ring is within the optical zone, within the 6.5 millimeter zone, then those images we definitely would discard, because that is a dry spot which is developed, or that is an area where the scan has not been picked up properly. So if we don't have enough area which is analyzed, so you see where the continuity of the ring is broken. If it's broken within the optical zone, do not use those scans.
Yeah, just to add, for myself, if there's patient has evidence of dry eyes, I definitely will treat the dry eyes first. It's absolutely important that you must treat the dry eyes before you do a scan. Even if you are doing a wavefront optimize, if the patient has dry eyes, you will not get good results. So I think it's a basic.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. Okay, we're going to move on to the last section of the night. From Mexico, Dr. Jason Pennycock has an incredible presentation. Jason, welcome.
Hi, how are you guys doing? This has been such an interesting conversation today. Let me go ahead and share my screen and see if, unlike our usual tradition, we don't have any technical issues by going live. Can you guys see my presentation? And is it moving? Please say yes.
Perfect.
Yes. Got it. Only took 2 webinars or 5. So today we're going to be talking about the evidence toolkit. I had 2 questions for my panel. The first one was regarding refractive surgery, are patients and physicians well informed? And the second question was, what is the #1 refractive surgery myth that you would love to clarify? Because of time, I'm going to go ahead and continue with the presentation, but we might come back to these 2 at the end so we can discuss them for a little bit. So let's talk about the evidence toolkit. As you know, the idea of the evidence toolkit is to give you evidence-based tools so you can make better decisions and connect as you lift, as you climb, and reach the top. So one of the quotes that I would like to share with you guys today was this one. So this was what a mountain was like, the same as a person. The more you know, the less you fear. So when we talk about the evidence toolkit, our first webinar, we spoke about finding your workflow and how to optimize that. And we talked about measuring everything, adding value, wasting nothing. And then last week, we spoke about optimizing technology and how we were to keep our toolbox updated and knowing what the purpose for each tool was and using those tools safely. So today we're going to be talking about selecting technology. And the 3 key questions for selecting technology are, is the tool safe? Is the tool effective? And is the tool necessary? Every time we want to use a tool or technology, especially if it's something new, we have to check these 4 things specifically. Is the tool safe? Is the tool effective? And is the tool necessary? So let's talk about the safety of the tool. What do you guys think? Are patients and doctors well informed? Usually we think that when it comes to lenses, prescription glasses or lenses, there's a low cost, there's no risk. There's a moderate cost and very low risk with contact lenses. And when we go into refractive surgery, we have a very high cost and a very high risk. However, if we look at the evidence, we can see that the risk of keratitis, for instance, bacterial keratitis, is much higher in contact lens wear than in LASIK use. So the risk, instead of the risk happening at one specific point, which happens in surgery, in contact lenses, we'll see that the risk happens all throughout the time, and the risk is higher because they're exposed during more time. Especially when you consider that even 99% of contact wearers have at least one risky behavior when it comes to contact lens related infection, contact lens infection related safety measures. So most people, almost everyone has some sort of risk reported risk behavior. We can go and see that the safety of our refractive surgeries is extremely high. In some cases, it's even lower than 1%, the complication rate. So once again, when it comes to surgery, we see that the risk is something that you encounter once. It has instant risk. It pays for itself because the price of the surgery is done once. Unlike contact lenses that, you have a slow risk that accumulates over time, and also the cost accumulates time. And, let's be honest, we wouldn't be here otherwise. Nobody really wants to wear glasses, and that's why we're talking about these options. So is the tool safe? Definitely yes. Now, is the tool effective? We can see that when we are using refractive surgery, it's easy to find different examples of how refractive surgery has excellent results for patients, both visually and in terms of their satisfaction. And this happens throughout every single study. It's been happening for a very long time. There's just enough evidence to know that our surgeries are effective. When we talk about customized surgery, we can even see that the surgery is very effective. It's also their mean postoperative uncorrected visual acuity at the year is usually better than 20/20. And in some cases, it can even go better than that. Dr. Kanopoulos was mentioning 2015s and 2012s as a consistent finding. So it's very effective, it's very safe, and there's also a lot of stability and precision in what we want to do. Can we say then that the surgery is effective? Yes. And now one of the questions that we've all been asking several times, Lasik or SMILE? I would just like to point out very quickly what Dr. Kanopoulos explained in his previous presentation. Lasik has a lot of advantages, even advantages over SMILE. And when it comes down to it, we are talking about two procedures. We're actually comparing two late model luxury cars. I don't want to mention any brand names, but whatever brand name you were thinking was the best one, we're just comparing two late models, and the advantages are marginal from one to the other. They're both very safe. They both provide a lot of satisfaction for the patient. Neither of them produces that much dry eye when it comes down to it. And each one has its own advantages. So when we were talking about LASIK, we have a large body of evidence. There's a faster recovery. There's a better possibility of day one visual acuity. Touch-ups are easier. On the other hand, when we're talking about SMILE, we're talking about a newer procedure, safer biomechanics, maybe. There's a smaller incision, and that has its own advantages. And hopefully, as time progresses, they'll be able to incorporate some of the technology that makes LASIK so effective into the SMILE technology as well. So once again, LASIK versus SMILE, who is the winner? And if we have a drum roll, we can all agree that the winner is your patient. Why do we say this? Because we live in a time where we have so many good options to give our patients the best visual acuity, not just their 20/20, but something that is even better than that many times. And we have many options. We have many ways of delivering this. And the only winners are going to be patients. So finally, is a tool necessary? And when we're talking about the necessity of tools, we have to understand that we're all part of a cycle of innovation. We pioneer new techniques, we pioneer new technology, we study that technology, it's incorporated into practices of our colleagues. This becomes more evidence, and as we continue to improve, we'll be able to have better results. Improving technology, improving quality, at the end of the day, pays for itself because it gets better satisfaction and it gets better results as well. To do this, we have to talk the same language, and that language is evidence-based surgery. Evidence-based surgery at its core is the awareness of the best evidence available in support of practice and its strength. When we want to practice evidence-based surgery, we need to construct smart questions. We can use the PICO strategy to do that. We need to plan the search. We need to critically appraise the evidence, apply that evidence to what we're doing, and then come back and evaluate our performance after applying that evidence. And this takes us to something that I would like to challenge you with today, which is values-based surgical care. Values-based surgical care, besides taking into account all the evidence, takes into account people. And its basic role is to link science with people. So your patient might not know what's best for them, but you know what's best for them. And as you know what's best for them, you can guide them and make sure that whatever they're doing is something that is safe for them by giving them the right evidence so they can have an informed decision. So is the tool safe? I think we can say that it is. Refractive surgery has proven that it's safe. Is it effective? Most of our patients, almost all of our patients will say that it's very effective and they're satisfied after it. And is it necessary? It's definitely necessary for someone that is suffering from something that holds back their lives or their lifestyle. So our patients are the best to decide if this is necessary, and we have the right tools to help them decide. So once again, connect Lasik client. We want to help you with the evidence toolkit to find your workflow, optimize technology, select your technology better now. And if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to contact me through any of the social media. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jason. Incredible presentation as usual. Thank you. Thank you. We have a lot of questions. One of them is for Dr. John. Dr. Ho Shi Shan asked you, Professor Kanellopoulos, how many cases of 100% of your LASIK procedures are done with Contura? Do you have that number?
For us, if I speak of my personal practice, if I both in Athens and in New York City, I do Contura about 85% of cases. And the only reason to exclude my LASIK procedures from Contura is the reasons we discussed before. Assessment that the epithelial surface is unstable. In my hands, it's usually patients who abuse contact lens use. I mean, most of the epithelial problems that we see that may interfere with the clarity and the reproducibility of the imaging is usually contact lens related. But again, those are the patients that are the most motivated because they already have problems with contact lenses. And, you know, I agree with what was discussed by our panelists before that treating the external disease will help eventually, number one, possibly paving the road for a Contura treatment. Number two, getting a more accurate measurement and a smoother postoperative recovery.
Good number, Dr. Kanellopoulos, 85%. It's a good number, right? Thank you. Thank you so much. Dr. Nitin, Anshal, Rosman, we're finishing. Any other comment about the session today? It was an incredible discussion. We have so many colleagues watching this. We're so happy. Dr. Rosman or Anshal?
Yeah, it was a very great discussion. I love listening to the presentations just now. I feel as you're really using all the technology available, social media and everything to really try and get into as much teaching done for our younger surgeons. I mean, maybe I'm a bit older, so I'm not so used to such methods, but I think it's quite a good idea, and I'm trying to see what I can learn from the YouTubes and your 360 degrees site. But I think it's very good. I mean, I'm learning from this webinar also. It's great to hear from John, from Anshal, Nitin, all their expert opinions. Thank you.
Thank you, Rosman. Thank you so much. Thanks for your kind words. Anshal?
I think it's been really good. I think obviously if we're aiming this towards the younger surgeons, you know, it's really good to get mentored through those early years. It's very difficult to gain experience in refractive surgery, particularly in those early years. There's not that many fellowships available. So I think, you know, this sort of forum and obviously what you're doing with your coursework through Ophthalmo University is really good. I think that when you start with any new technology, you should start with the really simple cases, things that are going to work out, and then start to sort of build from there. And, you know, that goes for any procedure, but particularly Contura. So, you know, I think it's really fantastic to have so many options for our patients. And yeah, I think, you know, always sort of under promise, over deliver. So don't say to them, you're going to give them 2 extra lines, but, you know, if it happens, that's brilliant. So yeah, thank you for having me. And it's been really great.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And as Anshal said, it's all about our patient and our results. Dr. Nitin Balakrishnan, thank you so much. Thanks for your expertise and your advices.
Thank you, Andres. It's been a very nice learning experience today. And like Anshal said, it's important for the younger surgeons to choose the right cases in the beginning and not choose a case where like you said before, if there is a tremendous amount of mismatch and if they're not able to understand what Contura is going to do for a particular case, it's always good to fall back on the wavefront optimized, which would give excellent results for the patient, but not to force a patient into a Contura when they don't understand what's happening, especially with a mismatch and with a very often also to look at the lenticular aberrations also, because very often they are a prime cause for the aberrations and the aberrations may not only be in the cornea. So thanks Andres for having me over today.
It's our pleasure. It's our pleasure. Ivo, in Mexico, people are asking about the 360 experience. Again, please remind them what is the website that they can go and have this immersive experience with Contura and all the other procedures.
Yeah, I have a big siren behind me. Sorry, guys, it's very early here. But yes, it's very simple. Ophthalmo University /OU360, and you're going to have an amazing 360. You're going to be there with me, right? You're going to do step by step with me. And I can assure you that it's very easy and it's very straightforward. There's a clear algorithm. Because of that, I have a quick question for Dr. Kanellopoulos. In your practice, Dr. Kanellopoulos, how that you're very well trained and you do 85% of your cases with Contura, how much time do you add to a procedure? I think pretty small, right?
It does add time as far as the diagnostics. And thanks for the question. Please call me John, and congrats on your amazing representation with that 360. I'd love to, once we're done with this, sit down with you and you can teach me how to do that. I'd love to to use that technology in educating patients. But assessing patients with a Contura platform takes more time. There's no question about it. And this is, in my opinion, the biggest bottlenecking in applying it in your practice. But I think that we heard it before in the very nice presentation, to benefit your patients, refractive surgery is a tool on its own, but you can view it as a single stop for a young, healthy patient that you can flag some other issues and some other problems. So in my mind, being a cornea external disease specialist, it goes without question that I do not only want to get rid of the glasses for a patient, but also study the optics, see why is there a difference between the refractive cylinder and the objectively assessed cylinder by topography, the ocular surface, the reasons that someone wants to have surgery. So for us, it's a given. So any case, even the cases that I'll do wavefront optimized, do have ready data for Contura. Even the cases we're doing for the Innovi studies currently do have all the data for Contura, and we run both platforms simultaneously. So it does take more time. In the OR, it takes maybe 1 or 2 minutes to look at both platforms and decide and look at the data. But I think that it's driving a car with many more instruments rather than driving a car with just one instrument. It gives you a better understanding of what you're doing, where you're at, et cetera, et cetera.
Excellent. Excellent. For me, it's very simple. It's very straightforward. Everything is about precision, about safety, and about offering our patients something very personalized. And I think it's a value proposition also for the surgeon, right? To personalize the treatment and to go beyond 2020.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much, Ivo. Robbie, we're finishing. Thank you for your valuable support. May, thank you so much, guys. It could be impossible without you guys.
Oh, thank you so much, Andres.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, I want to thank the entire Ophthalmo University team for this great program, the panelists, and obviously the guest speakers as well. Fantastic program. Looking forward to the next one next week.
Next week, we're gonna talk about complication management. So it's gonna be very, very interesting. We're gonna have Demian Gatinel, Professor Bai Ji, Shen Shewo, and Dr. Rick Wolf. Shay, Brian, Thomas, thank you so much. Hi, Shay, your first time here with us. How was it?
Ours. Amazing, amazing. I actually sent a message to Jason thanking him for laying it out as simple as that.
Absolutely. Thank you, Shay, May, Ishtiaki. And before we say goodbye, thank you, Professor Kanelopoulos, because your job is so amazing. We learn not just from your presentation today. You have so many papers, and we have been learning from so many years from you. Thank you so much for that incredible work.
Thanks for having me. Really enjoyed it.
Thank you, guys.
Take care.
See you next week.